Hey guys, so this is an update on my orchids. The last update that you guys saw was my first and only orchid video where I introduced you to the orchids that I had at the time. I had 6 and they were all Phalaenopsis orchids, and I wanted to show you how I was caring for them and all that good stuff. So this is an update to that video to kind of share with you what has happened in the last 2.5 years since I took my hiatus from YouTube. So picking up from that video, I actually had purchased 6 or 7 more orchids after I filmed that video, and I don't have a lot of footage of what those orchids looked like when they were flowered and all that kind of stuff. But I did purchase more. Some were from online and some were from a local nursery here where I live, and they were doing very well. I was taking really good care of them. I was repotting them in some good organic media that I purchased from repotme.com, and they were just doing great. And so what happened at one point in my journey was that I wanted to give my Phalaenopsis more sunlight. I kind of felt like they weren't getting enough sun. And so I ended up putting them outside on my balcony where we used to live. And I positioned them in a way where it wouldn't get direct sunlight, or at least I thought it wasn't going to get direct sunlight. And if you know anything about Phalaenopsis orchids, they cannot take direct sunlight because it can burn the leaves. And that's exactly what ended up happening. And I have some footage to show you on that. I was pretty much devastated because I had worked so hard with these orchids, taking care of them. They were my babies, you know, and I burned those leaves off. And within 2 weeks, like, leaves were literally popping off and the orchids were basically dying. Like, I had one of them that was growing a cakey because that orchid was about to be out. So it was a hot mess, and I burned so many. And so many of my Phalaenopsis that I owned died as a result of that, unfortunately. I did have a few others that were, you know, still doing okay. Like the Oncidiums that I had bought were doing okay. I had a couple that I had bought from a seller on eBay, and those orchids ended up dying. I'm not sure why, but they died a couple of months after I received them. And then after that, I ended up getting pregnant with my daughter Maria, and just being a new mom, I could not take care of those orchids like I really wanted to. Life had just gotten really busy, and I just had a lot of orchids. And so I ended up, when we moved to our next apartment, I ended up tossing the rest of my Phalaenopsis orchids because I just didn't have the time to care for them, and I didn't want them, you know, to go bad and all that. And so I just let them go. So by the end of things, I was left with my 2 Oncidium orchids. One was an Oncidium Sherry Baby, and one was an Oncidium Midas Willow Pond. And both of those I purchased online through eBay, and they were doing okay. In my new environment, they were both flowering. They were, you know, I watered them when I could. I wasn't doing the best job of watering them, and I certainly didn't fertilize. Like, I didn't fertilize those orchids for a whole year. Like, I was a bad mommy. So but they continued to do okay. Now the Sherry Baby, which ended up being like my favorite orchid like ever, it did suffer from like the dehydration. So the pseudobulbs started to get very wrinkly, as well as the leaves, and some of the leaves split a little bit. And then with the Midas Willow Pond, that one continued to do pretty well. I mean, it had some wrinkles in its leaves as well, but they didn't show any signs of, I guess, major stress. So, you know, things were going good. So we ended up moving again to where I currently live. And for whatever reason, my Sherry Baby just started to deteriorate. I don't know if it was the environment or if it caught a virus or what, I don't know. Or it could have just been my mal care, because like I said, I wasn't fertilizing, I wasn't watering as I should, and it just was going down. Like the leaves were turning yellow, they were becoming limp, and I had not repotted that orchid, mind you, as well. So it had been in that media from the time that I purchased it back in like 2015. So now we're in 2017, right? So it was definitely in need of a repotting, but I hadn't had the time to do it. So I didn't want to, but I ended up tossing that one as well. And that was probably like the hardest one to toss, because it produced such beautiful red flowers. They were fragrant. They had this spicy chocolate smell. It was my favorite, and I had to let it go because I really didn't know what was going on, and I didn't have the time to really investigate why it was dying. So then that left me with one orchid, and that was the Oncidium Midas Willow Pond. And I still have that orchid to this day. And it is doing very well. Now, it has not flowered since I've been at this new location. We moved to this home in August of 2017. It has not flowered, but it is growing a lot of vegetation. I have a lot of leaves. I have a lot of, new growth and roots growing. So I'm hoping to see a spike soon. Also, my mom gifted me an orchid back in December for Christmas. And so I was taking care of that orchid as well. It is a Phalaenopsis orchid. And once the flowers fell off of that orchid, I was going to repot it myself, but I just didn't get to it. And so what ended up happening was I cut the original spike where the flowers were, and then lo and behold, a new spike started to grow. And I was like, what? Like, I was so excited. Like, I have footage of that as well, like when it first spiked. I was amazed because I've never had a Phalaenopsis spike in my care. Like, it just hadn't happened. So I was extremely excited. And it's crazy because I wasn't even giving that orchid the best care. Like, I was not watering frequently. I was not fertilizing. Like, I wasn't doing anything. So for it to spike also in the summertime was crazy, because normally a Phalaenopsis will spike in the fall and winter time, but it's like July. Well, it was June when I first saw the spike. So I was like extremely like, what? So it's not unheard of for that to happen. There are some hybrids that will spike in the summertime, so this happens to be one of them. So I'll show you guys some current footage of what that is looking like now. The spike is getting really tall and it's looking really, really good. So I've started the process of and you'll see this in the footage, of attaching it to a bamboo spike or a bamboo stake, so that I can get that cascade effect from the flowers when they actually come out. So you'll see that. And yeah, that's really what's going on. I have 2 orchids. So out of the 12, 13 that I have in the originally, I have 2. So I do want to regrow my collection of orchids, but I definitely won't get as many as that like right away. I probably will grow it to about 6 orchids right now, and just see how that goes as far as caring for them all, because I have started fertilizing and watering on a regular schedule again, so that's good. So I just kind of want to slowly rebuild my collection. So and I have a couple of orchids coming, so I will film that footage, and I will also film footage of how I am organizing with my orchids. I did this with the previous 12 to 13 that I had, but I don't think I ever showed you guys the notebook and the folder that I use to organize all my notes and thoughts and information with the orchids. So I will include that information in the video. And I am also starting to collect rainwater. Yes, rainwater. to water my orchids with. So I will show you that process as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave any questions or comments down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Make sure you like and subscribe. Bye guys.